It's Monday morning and I'm catching a ride with Hadi.
Now we're on.
Like so many parts of the digital world, the gig economy was supposed to be a liberation.
You okay?
Apps like Uber were supposed to transform how you work when you want, where you want. But now many fear that whether it's either in the platforms and how they work or the data and how it's collected, they don't just represent a liberation but also something else, a potent new form of control as well.
What I was told is that the closest driver gets that job. But I don't believe that to be right, because what happened is I've seen customers sitting on my car trying to book a ride and it's not bouncing to me, it's actually going to drivers who are far away, 5-10 minutes.
That was something I really couldn't believe, so we gave it a go. But although I was physically sitting next to him, the job went to someone several minutes away. Uber has now introduced a system that aims to reduce the waiting time for everyone, not just a particular passenger. And this may lead to the counterintuitive situation where your driver can get to someone else quickly and another driver can pick you up soon too. Confused? Well, so is Hadi, and although the driver app gives some information, he's struggling to understand what factors really determine how work is allocated. In his 5 years of driving, the work has become scarcer. It's becoming even more important to Hadi to understand the algorithm that actually allocates the work that exists. Important, but also unknown.
You drive around all day thinking maybe that's the best way to, to beat this algorithm or to meet up with the algorithm that has been set. I don't know what's going on. On an average, I used to work 6 to 8 hours, 5 to 6 days a week. The number of days have not changed, but the hours have increased. It will still basically be 10 to 12 hours, 5 to 6 days a week.
After costs are factored in, Hadi says he and many of his colleagues are often struggling to make even the minimum wage.
I've seen drivers sleeping on their car parking actually, and you see them basically they have gone to sleep is because they have overworked.
Not only for Hadi, but plenty of other drivers as well. It's actually, if you think about it, the algorithm that lets him feed and clothe his family. It's cold, hard maths, but with tremendously human consequences.
Unfortunately, we all depend on the algorithm. What we want from it to be fair, to be transparent, that's the most important thing.
There was only one way for Hadi to actually figure out what has been going on, asking for his data. And when he got it back, it made things even more confusing. James Farrar established the Worker Info Exchange to help people across the gig economy to actually make sense of their data. He told us the information Hadi received refers to everything from speed to battery level, but crucially doesn't reveal the things he really wants to know, such as rates of pay or the actual time spent on the platform and how to optimise his chances of earning more money.
Drivers always want to understand that they're getting a fair deal, that the value, the quality, the quantity of the work is fairly distributed. Well, Uber has always proposed to its workforce that the workforce, drivers are their own boss, they're free to make their own choices, they are effectively running their own business. But if that's true, then I must be able to access the endless amounts of data I'm creating for Uber every day.
But could it also be a matter of the complicated and hidden nature of the information algorithms involved?
The way in which, for instance, drivers and passengers are matched via a platform is a complex calculation. And so the gig economy today is considerably more complex. And that means that the questions around how scores are calculated, how data are utilised, and how that can be taken into account by service providers, that question is more important than it ever was.
But a joint study between Oxford researchers and Uber itself found that on average, drivers earned above London living wage and reported they were happier than the average worker across the city. Critics question, though, whether the full costs of being an Uber driver have really been factored in when those figures were arrived at. The same arguments now playing out in the streets of London have happened in city after city across the world. In what might have been a global first, the powerful Taxi and Limousine Commission in New York didn't just ask Uber for data but demand it. And until Uber handed it over, they were banned from operating.
What we found out was that conditions were worse than what was being described to us by drivers. 96% of drivers were making less than the city's minimum wage. But without that information, you only have anecdotes. You have, stories from drivers about low wages, but you have no way to really quantify that. And without quantifying it, you can't create a policy to bring those levels of wages up.
In response, Uber said that drivers are at the heart of everything that they do, and they're working to continue to improve the experience both of drivers themselves and their passengers.